morning and welcome back to another episode of Speak Up. I am so excited today. You know, when we first started Speak Up, we started talking about how do we get the community more involved in understanding how the political world works in our city and what's going on and what we need to know and who does what and why they do it and how they do it. And so starting this month and throughout the next few months, because this is election season, we are opening it up for any candidate to come on Speak Up and just kind of talk about what their agenda is, who they are, and what they'd like to do in the position that they are running for. So without further ado, my very first person is a friend of mine. I say that all the time. I got a lot of friends in Kansas City. I don't know what to say. However, this guy, he is a Lincoln alum, Lincoln Prep alum. He is a renowned R&B singer that we all know and love. He was like back in my day, we know all about the low key. He is a radio celebrity in Kansas City. He is a minister. He ministers on Sundays. He is a great voice to hear when you're on your way to church. He is a husband, a father, a community activist, and a friend. And we all know who he is. His name is Darren Story, and we're going to have a conversation about his aspirations of becoming the very next 3rd District at-large councilman. So help me welcome Darren to the show. Hey, Darren, how are you?
Kim, how are you?
I'm great. So
that was quite the introduction. I hate introductions.
Oh, whatever. You know
do.
what? How does it feel to be on the other side? Because, see, I remember you interviewing me.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's something to get used to again. But back in the day when I was in the music business, we were getting interviewed all the time. So that was.
Oh, yeah.
But now I've spent the last 10 plus years interviewing people. So it is kind of strange when somebody's asking me questions.
Who you are.
Yeah,
yes.
I know.
So Darren, let's go back to, you are born and raised, bred.
Not born.
Okay.
My parents moved here in 1966 when I was a year old.
Okay, so you kind of like me. I was a baby transplant.
Yeah. So 66, and we plopped down. My father got a call paper and was looking for homes to rent, for us to live, and we ended up at 1621 East 22nd Terrace, a little street between Vine and Woodland.
Yeah.
And that's where it all began.
So you are from the 3rd District. That's your home.
I am.
Okay, so you went to Lincoln High School. So you went to the elementary school.
I went to Addix.
Yep. That's now getting ready to become a gallery.
Zoe Brothers
the Zoe
thing,
Brothers Gallery. And then you went to Lincoln Prep.
Mm-hmm.
And then somewhere down the line, you became this soul sensation. I'm telling you, I'm not going to let you slide on the low key, because the low key was like hot.
Well, it started with, Tyrone Hooker?
Vaguely, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Tyrone Hooker, who is Johnny Taylor's son, the
yes.
blues singer, he had a band called Grand Jury, the Grand Jury Band.
Yeah.
Back in high school. So that's where it started. So we were this high school band that was going around kicking it. And that's where everything really started. So it was that band first. When I got in that band, I was just turned 15.
Wow.
And so we were this big, huge funk band that was playing at talent shows and where we could. We were playing nightclubs, but we didn't get much nightclub work because we were teenagers.
Right.
But where we did get nightclub work, we would have to play our set and then we would have to go outside between sets because we couldn't be in the club or whatever. So that's where it all started. But the 4 to 5 guys that ended up making Low Key came from Grand Jury. So props to Tyrone Hooker and all, because if it wasn't for him, there would be no Low Key.
Right. So, so I'm going to go into, you have been around for quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think I didn't get to know you when you were low key because you were way up there and I was way down here. However, I did meet you years ago, and you have been in circles from the Greater Kansas City Chamber of Commerce to, just about everything, every walk of life. And you've been very heavily involved in Kansas City. So I want to talk about politics. And then one of the things that that interests me the most is one, why do you want to be the city councilman?
Well, there are a lot of reasons. First of all, I feel like that I'm in a place in my life. I call it this my season of service, right? And there's, probably one of the greatest services that you can do is become someone that is making policy for your fellow man, right? Hopefully, making policy that makes their lives better. What I see is from the outside looking in, some discombobulation, maybe a little, could be more collaboration, more partnering. And those are some of the things that are in my skill set. I'm a person that brings people together. I'm a person that is willing to sit down at the table and we're going to sit here and talk this out until we find a place where we intersect.
Right.
Because I always think if we continue to engage one another, if we talk long enough, we're going to find a place where it's like we're saying to each other, well, I hadn't thought about it that way. Or, okay, I see what you're saying. So that's the type of person that I am. And I think we need that type of spirit at City Hall. We have a very divisive spirit at City Hall right now.
Yeah.
I think it's something we can overcome, but there has to be a will to do that. And that will to do that comes from within. So that's what's in my heart. I'm not going to be a politician. I'm going to be a servant. I have no political aspirations after this, Kim. I don't want to be mayor. I don't want to go to Congress. I don't want to be dog catcher. I just want to go and do this 8 years.
Right.
And do the best that I can to make substantive change, to have some long-term goals and vision for the next council that goes, that they can take the baton and move it forward. Because I think that's one of the things, in the third especially, is that we need a strategic vision for our future. We need to be planting trees that I'm okay with not eating the fruit from.
Right.
But somebody else takes it across the finish line.
Right.
So I don't need credit or I don't need photo ops. That's not why that's not why I want to do the job. I want to do the job to do the work. And so when I say I have no political aspirations, what that tells you is that when I make a decision, it's not going to be based upon what it's going to do to me politically.
Right.
Like, oh, if I make this decision, this group here is going to be like, well, we're not going to support him. No, I'm going to do what's good for the people.
Right.
That's it.
So, so when we talk about good for the people, this is an area that I really think that we need to start educating our community on. Mm-hmm. And that is, what does the city councilman do for the community? Why do we have council people? What is their job when it comes to the community in which they serve? Now, you're talking at large, so that means you would serve the entire city.
That's
but
right.
As a council person, what are some of the things that we should go to our council people about?
Well, let's just start with basic services, like your trash getting picked up, right? What I found, Kim, is as I've talked to people, and I've been on this journey since June of last year. Mm-hmm. So June of 2021, and this is October of 22, is that most people, the main things they care about is my trash getting picked up? Are the police coming when I call them? My water bill, basic services, my potholes, streets getting repaved, sidewalks. People just want their basic services, and I think if we can deliver those in an efficient way, I think most citizens are pretty happy with the way the city runs. But there are nuance to things that different neighborhoods have different problems.
Correct.
Different
Correct.
parts of the city have different issues. And so you have to be attuned to those things. And basically, my job as a city council is the way I would interpret it. Now, other people may think differently, is that what do you need? And my job is to figure out how to make that happen.
Okay.
Okay. So what city staff do I need to go to get that done? Is this reasonable? We have to look at historical issues like, why do certain parts of our city don't have sidewalks?
Correct.
Which I find absurd.
Yes.
But that's an infrastructure problem, right?
Yes.
So I can't make assumptions, but my job is to find out why when somebody calls and said, Councilman Story, I've been living in so-and-so part of the city and we've never had sidewalks.
Yes.
Can a brother get a sidewalk?
Yeah.
Right? So that's what
That's
my
my block.
job. Yeah.
He must live on my block because we have no sidewalks.
We have no sidewalks.
But yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I think that's really, it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
I'm a representative of the people. My job is to hear what the people say and then find a way to get the things done that they need.
Yeah. So I will. I'm going to bring this back because people always ask this question, especially in my district. So you can drive down, and this is not an issue that you can take on right now, but I just want you to know that this is coming at you.
Okay.
You can drive down a street, and we're going to go east to west. Mm-hmm. And you can be coming east, and you can pass over Purcell, and the life changes. And so when I say that the city makes the beautification of one side more important than the other. So if you go up 51st Street and you hit Purcell going up the hill, mm-hmm. and that morning you see some tires and some mattresses between Virginia and I think it's Virginia, but it may be Tracy and Virginia, whatever mm-hmm. those streets are, mm-hmm. in between Wayne, Virginia. Mm-hmm. And you might see, when you come back that same direction that evening, the mattresses are gone. Mm-hmm. The tires are gone. There's never broken trash. It's mm-hmm. like the only place that the dogs or the trash gets broken is on the east side of Purcell. Now, you can go up 51st Street going east on the other side of Purcell, and all along there you can see tires and mattresses and trash broken and blighted areas where overgrown property, and it will be there for months, mm-hmm. sometimes over a year. So what would me as a citizen, as a resident in that community, why would I even consider calling my council person when it seems like the council people that represent those areas don't see their own communities that they represent?
Well, I can't speak to currently who's there.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not expecting you to.
Yeah, but to your, I think the answer to your question is that for me, I'm going to let my constituents know that I'm accessible, that no problem is too small. It may seem mundane to most people, but a tire in your vacant lot and it's been there for 6 months, that's a big deal. So of course, my office would probably say to them, call 311, right? Yeah. All right, that's great. They're getting tons of calls. Right. Probably the action between a call and the same call, and we have these calls coming from everywhere, right? Mm-hmm. So people's problems are their problems. They don't care about somebody else's problem. Mm-hmm. I just know I have this tire in my yard and I want it gone. Right. So we have to look at efficient ways that we can get these things done. Now we have to take a look at how we operate at City Hall. Now, I'm getting to know how things work down there a little bit. I don't think you ever know until you're actually there. Right. But I believe that probably there are some places that we could be looking at different things or different ways and methodologies that we could be taking care of these problems. I think that in many cases that we get mired in inertia. Why are we doing it that way? Because we've always done it that way. Right. And I think that government in general has that problem where they're mired in inertia, where they've always done it this way. Yes. And they don't want to look at different ways of doing it. So, the city manager has a lot to do with that, Brian Platt, who has already made a lot of great changes here in the city, especially with snow removal. We saw that happen last year in real time. But I think that you have to have faith in your city council person first. Mm-hmm. And my job is to instill that faith into someone that they know when they call the office that, I'm going to try to get something done. Yeah. And if I can't, we're going to call you back and tell you why. Yeah. And I think communication is probably the key to all of this. I think that intentionally, and I am not, again, I have to say that this is not, as a chamber or as a Harlem Black Chamber, this is not an endorsement. We cannot endorse any candidates. No, she can't endorse me. And your views does not necessarily represent the views of the chamber. Mm-hmm. I will say, though, that blanket-wise, I think everyone goes into these offices with
with hopes and with expectations and belief that they have the ability to get some things done. And I'm almost, I have to say, I won't say almost, I know it has to be overwhelming because we are talking about a city of over 500,000 people. And if you are looking at everybody's problem, everybody has something that they need
That's
to
right.
have attended. So, but the question falls back as a community where the East Side historically is underserved and underrepresented. How do we, and I think you answered it earlier through the collaboration, how do we as citizens assist our council people to do the kind of work that you're hoping to be able to do soon? If you are elected, what would you like to see the citizens? Because I think we have a responsibility as well. We can't just throw everything in your lap.
I totally agree with you, and I think that we can't even fathom the problems that exist unless we hear from our citizens.
Yeah.
I mean, we can guess.
Yeah.
We can look at our own, part of our neighborhoods and see what issues exist. But I actually, what kind of got me here, Kim, is that I actually was working with Melissa Robinson, our 3rd District council person, and I was moderating this group called the 3rd District Community Brain Trust. And it was just citizens that were hashing it out. What are the things going on in our communities, in our neighborhoods? And they were giving us the information to help Melissa kind of navigate her agenda, because I don't want to go in there with my agenda.
Right.
My agenda is nothing, right? It's the people's agenda.
Yeah.
The people have to shape my agenda. That is the way I look at things. I have an agenda. There's things I like. But is that going to help Miss Johnson on 25th and Park? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I need to find out what's going on with Miss Johnson on 25th and Park.
Yeah.
To help shape my agenda. So that was something that I thought was really good for me, to be engaged with a group of citizens just talking about their stuff. Right? Everyday stuff that they deal with on a daily basis that sometimes, again, gets swept under the rug. You talk about the issues on the East Side.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm an East Sider. Like I said, my father got the call paper. We didn't have very many options to do the redlining.
Yeah.
So we know that we didn't get here overnight. We're not going to get out of this overnight.
That's right.
Right? But citizen engagement is crucial to helping us move the needle forward. If we don't have people doing that, telling us what's going on ad nauseum, don't stop.
Yes.
Because that's the job.
Yeah.
I don't have the luxury of saying, I don't want to hear that anymore.
Yeah.
That's not what a servant leader does.
Yes.
You need to just keep calling me.
Yeah.
Because we're going to get this done.
Yeah.
And that's how I think we ought to approach the job. It's not a job to, stick your chest out and be all haughty and everything like that. This is a job where you're supposed to be getting your hands dirty. It's not a job about, shovels and groundbreakings and all that stuff. That's great. I love that. I guess that's cool. But if we're not getting the people's work done in between all that, then none of that stuff means anything.
What I really like, what you said, was the brain trust and bringing the community together.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you would be looking to do, like within your first 100 days as a councilman?
Well,
is to find out more about but at large now.
That's
so
the
now,
whole city.
That's the whole city. So
Right.
that means you would have to say, hey, let me get with the other districts and see how we can work together to see what they're needing in their district, what I'm needing in my district, and how do we bring all our needs into one room?
Right.
Is that something that...
Yeah, absolutely. There's two things that I've talked to some of the other candidates that are running. A couple of things I want to propose is, one, once we win, whoever wins, right, that between the time that we win and then we get sworn in, that we have a strategic planning session to talk about, all of us talk about what are the 2 or 3 things that all of us collectively want to get done for the city.
Yeah.
That we can go and then report out that here are our priorities for the city for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
I think that it would exude a lot of confidence and the leadership from the citizens seeing that, wow, they've already figured out a couple of things that they want to do and get done, that that's going to be a goal for them over the next 4 years, instead of us feeling around in the dark. The second thing that I want to propose is that we have town halls with the at-large people. So that means 6 town halls hosted by the in-district person, and then the six at-large folks attend, so we can hear what's going on in the first, in the second, in the third, in the fourth, in the fifth, and the sixth. So we can actually hear from those people. I don't get the sense from talking to people that we move around, the at-large people move around as they should, right? And I don't. That's not a criticism. That's just the sense that I've gotten over the last year since I've been out there. Whether people spend time up north or out south or on the west side or and east side and all that, but I think that we have to operate as such. We do represent 500,000 people, and although our home base, mine be the third, and making sure that working with Melissa or whomever is going to be there, working together with her to make sure that the third is getting what they need. We cannot forget about our responsibility for the people in the fifth or sixth or wherever.
And that's reciprocal too, because that means that if you're collaborating with the first, second, third, first, second, fourth, fifth, and sixth,
you can get things done.
You get things done because now you all are looking at what's going on in the third district, what's going on in the fifth district, what's going on in the second district. So that everybody's looking at the districts and understanding the needs instead of coming into a room and everybody battling for their own little piece of the pie. We can bake a whole pie and put all the ingredients in it. I like that. I really like that.
Well, I think that if we do that, some of the things that you brought up earlier about the blight we see on the east side, the people, our other colleagues are going to be like, okay, they're very aware of that. They're acutely aware of those things, and they're going to be helping us remediate those problems that we have. So, and I think that just takes the spirit of cooperation. And this is about a culture change at City Hall. You know, we've had a lot of tumultuous times, especially over the last two and a half years.
Pandemic was not really anybody's friend.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. So, this is a chance for a reset, right? You know, and there's some good people that are probably going to be coming back that I'm excited about. But I think if we can change the culture and say, hey, we're gonna have a spirit of cooperation down here. Okay, if we can agree on one thing, let's agree that we're going to cooperate with one another. And we start there, we're probably going to be in a pretty good spot.
Well, you know, I really appreciate talking about the political side of things, because I think it's very, very important for our community to start understanding what our politicians do and why. And, you know, when to call on our council person, when to call on our city manager, when to call on the mayor, when to call on the congressman. Everybody has their space they're responsible for. And understanding what they do and why they do it, I think it gives us a track on who we should be calling. I also like people to get to know who the candidate is. I think it's very, very important that we make conscious decisions when we are voting. That we're not voting for someone because they're popular or because they're my friend, because they went to school with me, or they're a really nice guy. But
that can help.
Okay. I'll go with that. Yeah,
I went to school with that dude.
But really know what the person is standing for when they go into that office, and then holding them accountable. What you say is important, and how you say it is important. And so just making sure that we put before the people, number one, who you are and what you will mean to them and their issues. And then reminding them it's not just going out, and it does matter. It does matter. Your vote matters.
Yes.
We need you at the polls.
Yes.
Honestly, again, I tell people all the time, we get registrations out the wazoo. People register to vote all day, every day. And then what happens when it's time to vote? 7% of the voting population shows up.
Yeah.
So that is a huge loss to the community. It's even a huge loss to the person who wins the election.
Yeah.
Because now 7% of the people or less are supporting the agenda that is going in there. And that is not enough to help direct or guide or change things that we want changed. Darren, I want to thank you so much for coming on. What's next for you?
Well, I'm just out here trying to talk to as many voters as I can, trying to meet as many people as I can, trying to listen to what people are saying. I'm just trying to be smart, get smarter.
Well, you're already smart.
No, well, get smarter. I mean, I come into this with no preconceived, notions.
Yeah.
This world we live in is extremely fluid. The city we live in is extremely fluid. What's important today, tomorrow could be a totally different thing.
You're
and
right.
so one of the things that I realized about, I think, being an elected official is that you have to be nimble.
Yeah.
You got to be like bob and weave. You got to be able to do things.
Yeah.
And so that's why I just try to stay in touch with what's going on with the people. But it's just that, I mean, we're coming into an election, of course, in November.
Yeah.
And like you said, please go vote. Please.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
I say this on the radio all the time.
Yeah.
We're telling people to go to vote.org or vote411.org, get registered, find out if you've been, make sure your polling place hasn't changed. People have died.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
For us to have this right.
Yes.
Do not take it for granted. Please, just wherever you are, because so much is on the ballot right now.
Yes.
I'm sitting across from you. Yeah. As a black man, you're a black woman.
Yes.
And I have more rights than you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's insane.
It's insane. Yes.
That is insane.
Yeah. So Darren, I want you to look over here into this camera right here. And I want you to tell everyone out there how they can find you, if they want to support you, what they need to do, and where we can find you next. I am going to say that we are going to have a forum. The chamber will be having a forum, town hall forum, and Darren will definitely be a part of that forum. And the date is to be determined. However, I want you to just tell the people what they need to know and how to support you.
All right. So you can go to my website, story4kc.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, Story4KC. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me on social media. You can also email me at info@story4kc.com. If you have any questions, if you'd like to volunteer, whatever you like to know, whatever you have questions, what am I about, just whatever it is, because that's the job I'm running for.
Absolutely. So again, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you.
It is very important. I will say that this is an open forum for any candidate. It doesn't matter of your political party or what you are. I want our community to know who you are. If you want the community to know who you are, reach out to Heartland Black Chamber of Commerce. You can reach us at info@heartlandblackchamber.com. Or you can call us at 913-948-7680. I want to thank Televida for always giving me this platform. This is the best production studio that I work with. I'm telling you, they do a great job. They are part of XCL Films. And when I started this show, they have given me complete autonomy. If you want to be a sponsor of this show, which I need very bad, please also reach out to me, Kim, at heartlandblackchamberofcommerce.com. Good to see you again. Be kind to everyone you meet. Be a blessing to everyone you meet. And be blessed. Have a great day. Bye.